So really quick, for anyone who is joining on day 2 and they were not here on day 1 and potentially were not, haven't heard of me before, maybe you just saw this thing and said, okay, I'll join. And maybe you had a friend who shared this. My name is Alison. I am a certified dating and relationship coach. I have a bachelor's degree in education. I have a master's degree in counseling. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling, which is 2 different things, clearly, right? And so I decided that I was going to start this journey of specifically working with single women to help them secure successful relationships 3 years ago. And the reason why I started this is because I know that I wanted to coach. I know I wanted to start my own business. I know I wanted to be my own boss. And I had to think to myself, well, what is my area of expertise, right? So I wasn't a parent at the time, so I can't teach people how to parent, even though, and this is shade, there are plenty of people who are in spaces that have no experience and I don't believe should be in that space. Sorry, I'm not taking health advice from someone who's unhealthy. I'm not taking financial advice from somebody who's broke. So for me, I'm not going to take marriage advice, or I'm not going to take relationship advice from people who are single. Anywho, so I had to think to myself, well, what's my area of expertise? Where have I been able to win? What have I done that's been successful? Because I know I wanted to coach. I know that this is what I'm good at. This is what I do. I'm good at teaching. I'm good at riling people up. I'm good at getting people on the right track. So I know I wanted to coach. So what am I going to do? And I said, you know what? There is something I've been successful at. This was 3 years ago. I said, I am successfully engaged, because I was engaged at the time, and I was able to get over a heartbreak that I experienced. So let me tell you guys the story if you are new and you haven't heard this story before, you haven't read my emails or whatever that might look like. So I was in a relationship with a gentleman for 4 years. This was in my late 20s into 30-ish, maybe like 30 or 29. I was in a relationship with a gentleman for 4 years who was either unwilling or unable to commit. I don't know which one. Now, let me explain what I mean by commit, because I don't want to misrepresent this gentleman, right? As far as I know, he was committed to me exclusively, meaning that he was not involved with other women, as far as I know. And that's all I could roll with, right? So we were in an exclusive relationship. However, I was in my late 20s. Time is of the essence. I want to be married. I want to have children in the institution of marriage. Biology is not on either one of our sides, worse for me than for men, but hey, y'all sperm don't last and it ain't good all the time either, right? And so I wanted more. I wanted a bank account that we could contribute to and have some savings. I wanted to purchase a house. I wanted to be engaged. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have children. And in those 4 years, it seemed as though he was either unwilling or unable. So unwilling means he doesn't want to do it, or unable means he doesn't have the capacity to do it. I don't know which one it was. It doesn't really matter to me which one it was, in all honesty. All I know is that he couldn't deliver. Every time I tell this story, I give this comparison. So I hope that you guys can appreciate this. I don't know if any of you have ever ordered Uber Eats or Seamless or food on one of those apps, right? And then like 40, 45 minutes passes. You're like, damn, where's my food? You check the app and then it says, sorry, no drivers. Or it says restaurant closed, or they give you some reason or explanation as to why you can't get your food. I don't care why I can't get the food. It could be super legitimate. The restaurant could have burnt down in that moment when I placed my order. And once everybody's okay, I don't care. I don't care what the reasoning is. All I know is that I want food and it is not here. All I know is that I wanted the next steps in our romantic relationship, and he was either unwilling or unable to deliver, right? And maybe he had the foresight, maybe he had the vision, maybe he saw that I was an inappropriate match for him, he was an inappropriate match for me. I don't know, right? Again, and this is not me trying to I'm trying to find a word that's not a curse word, make him look bad. It just did not happen. It wasn't happening in the speed that I desired. As a result, I decided that I was going to end that relationship. I went through a healing process that I created on my own. Now, you're not supposed, even if you're a mental health professional, even if you have your master's degree in mental health counseling like I do, you're not supposed to be your own client, right? But I created my own healing process. I got back onto the dating scene, and the next gentleman that I dated, we were engaged to be married, and we were married within 3 years, and I had his baby 8 months ago. Okay. Point is that I know that I wanted to coach and I needed something that I was an expert in. And I use quotation marks. I don't like expert or guru, but I had experience. And I know that if I was able to go through my own healing process and heal myself, if I was able to figure out what are some of the things that I was doing, I was not showing up as the best version of myself. I tell you guys all the time, if you're not new, you've heard this. One of the things is that I was extremely argumentative. That is very undesirable. Who the hell wants to come home to somebody who finds joy in arguing with people? I know I wouldn't want to come home to that, right? So I had to be reflective. I had to be honest. What are some of the behaviors and traits that I was exhibiting that was not desirable, and work on myself so I could be the best version of myself for me. And by default, I'd be the best version of myself for everybody. Everybody wins, right? So my colleagues win, my employees win, my parents win, my sisters win, my friends win, and my husband wins because as well as me, because I'm showing up as the best versions of myself. Does that make sense? So I began to do some work on me. I went through my healing process. I repositioned myself on the dating scene. The next person that I dated became my husband and my baby daddy. So that is what I was able to create, this process. And I said, well, if I'm able to do that for myself, then I'm confident that I'd be able to do that for others. So I said, let me reach out to some people that I know that are single, that have some goals, that looking to change something. Let me ask them if they'd be willing to go through this process with me for free. Let me see if I can replicate the results. If I have any science people in here, as a big science buff, if you're from New York, you know what the New York State Regents is. That's that big state exam that we take in order to graduate high school. I got a 98 on my Earth Science Regents. I love science, okay? So if you're my science person, you know, if you're a science person like me, you know that your experiments don't count if you can't replicate the results. So I was able to do it for me, but if I can't replicate this for other people, then it's BS. It doesn't work. It might've worked for me. It doesn't work for others. So I said, let me reach out to 3 people that I know. Somebody that I went to college with. I was on a cheerleading team at Brooklyn College. Somebody that my, at the time, fiance, now husband, is friends with, a friend of a friend. And then who was the third person? Sugarfoot. Oh, somebody that I met in the Caribbean community here in Brooklyn. Reached out to the 3 of them. Hey, I know that you're single. I'm starting this business and I want to see if my process works. So I documented that process and I replicated it with the 3 of them. 2 of them said, yeah, let's do relationship stuff. One of them said, well, I am single, but that's not where I am in my life right now. I actually have a life goal, which is to write a book, a children's book. So instead of doing relationship coaching, can we do life coaching? Cool, no problem, right? So I was able to help those people. Number 1, the one who wanted to write a book, she's on her 2nd book now, 3 years later, right? Number 2, the other person was able to get into a healthy, committed relationship within months. My last one was a little bit slow. Took her a bit longer. She also didn't take the process as serious because when people don't pay, they usually don't take it seriously. It's the nature of humanity. When it's free, they don't show up. I had 250 people register for the challenge. I have 155 people on the live, right? Some folks were in England. They were up at 1 o'clock in the morning. They here, but some people don't take it seriously when it's free. It is what it is. And so her process was a lot longer, but she's now in a committed relationship where she's happy. Point is, I was able to replicate the results. I have proof of concept. Yes. Okay. So that's when I said, I'm prepared to launch this business. I've created this process. I've created the system, and I'm going to go ahead and launch. Now, there's lots more to the story. Coaches that I've hired that taught me, because I don't know anything about business. I told you all my degrees, education, counseling, and then mental health counseling. I don't know anything about social media. I took classes and spent thousands of dollars. I don't know anything about LLCs and creating a business and websites, right? So lots more to the story for another day, another dollar. But that is the crux of where I started, okay? You know, I got to throw in a cute picture of me and my husband just for fun because, you know, hey, boo, hey, boo, hey. He's on Instagram too. Hey, boo. He's also in the living room with the baby. Hey, boo. Proof of concept. So I showed you guys some of my testimonials yesterday, and this is more. This one right here. This one, if you are on Zoom, you see it. You see that pretty ring right there? Right? I literally got this 3 days ago. 3 days ago. It was Sunday on Mother's Day. It was on Mother's Day because that's why I said Happy Mother's Day to me, because that was an amazing gift that I received. So some of my stuff are from my original clients, original. There's a whole baby. The baby done turned 1.5, right? Some people are originals. Some people are 3 days ago, but the results speak for themselves. This is not me talking for the sake of talking. This is not me talking because it's fun and it's cute. I like to hear myself talk. I do like to hear myself talk. This is like, I actually do the work. I actually show up. This is not, I create content because I get clicks and I get paid. I ain't gonna lie, I do get paid for my content. People who make content get paid off of it. That's not a lie. That's not my bread and butter. That's not my goal. That's not my desire. It's not about just creating content just so I could get some clicks and some views and some shares. It's creating content so I could bring an audience to me so that you can join real, not 90-second clips, not 60-second clips, not stuff where I have to say, watch the whole thing. And this is the whole thing. The hour and a half we spent yesterday, the hour we're going to spend today, the hour we're going to spend tomorrow. This is the breadth of the work. The 6 months that I do with clients, this is the breadth of the work, right? We have somebody who said, the best coach I know, I have the man of my dreams. Thank you, kissies. The breadth of the work, right? And even though I'm doing this 4-day challenge, you could say, well, Alison, like, you're doing the challenge. 4 days ain't it. I love y'all. I love y'all. But if we're talking about shifting our mentality that we may have had for as long as we've been dating, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you've been married to the wrong person, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 4 days ain't it. This is a good start. It's a good foundation. But if you really want to shift, and like I started with my speech, it does not have to be moi if I am not the right fit. But if you really want to do a shift, it has to be way more than a couple of challenges here and a couple of clips here and a couple of videos here. At some point, you have to decide what you truly want, and you have to sacrifice in order to get there. Again, it ain't got to be me, but it has to be something, okay? Wonderfully made. Can we get the recording? Yes, you can, but why aren't you on the Zoom right now? The recording is going to be made available on Monday, okay? Once everything is complete. Thank you, Amber. Because then I'll be having to send 250 emails 4 times. I'm going to send 1 email on Monday, 1 time. Well, you get what I'm saying. Anywho, that's the logic. So what is the process? What are the steps that I take my clients through in 6 months that we're squeezing into 4 days? What's the process? So what I call it is the SSS approach. That's like the little thingy, the cute little thingy that I created. And that's what we started yesterday. Okay. So first it has to be some self-reflection. So what are the mistakes that we made? That was day 1, right? What are the mistakes that I've made? What are the mistakes that I've made? Then from there, once we start correcting those mistakes, that's the step up. How am I going to do better? How am I going to change? How am I going to change myself? How am I going to change my approach? How am I going to get on different apps and change the things that I'm saying or doing on those apps? How am I going to motivate myself to go out on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday in order to get the result that I want? How am I going to change my expectations so that they are realistic? How am I going to step up to change the behavior? That's a heavy lift. And then we're going to talk about sitting back and sitting down and allowing love to come into your life. Okay. So really today is the step up. That's SSS. Okay. So how do you make yourself the catch? First, you do that self-reflection. That's what we talked about yesterday. What are the mistakes that I've made? What are my expectations? Are they realistic? Can I match what I'm looking for with the man that I want? Would the woman that I want me? That's a lot of deep diving that we have to do. Some of us, and we're going to get into it, want these like drop dead gorgeous. And I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm trying to be realistic. We want model-esque. Got a client who wants only model-esque men. Model-esque men usually want whatever society's definition of it. I'm not even talking about size necessarily. Model-esque women, relatively speaking. Is it 100% all the time? No. Relatively speaking, right? You want a man who makes a lot of money, who does well for himself financially. He's probably going to want a woman who can manage money. I did not say he wanted a rich woman. I didn't say he wanted a well-to-do, but a man who cares about managing his money. It's going to care about dating someone who also manages money well and probably does not blow it, right? So we have to be reflective and honest about what mistakes we've made in our former relationships, as well as what we're looking for. Is it practical? Is it realistic? And can I deliver with that man, with that woman that I want for myself, want me? Okay. So how do we make ourselves the catch? We're honest about some of those undesirable behaviors. The one I mentioned for me was being argumentative, being difficult unnecessarily, right? Being honest about those behaviors that we exhibit. making that list. That was day one's homework, to make the list of those non-negotiables, right? Making sure that you can complement those non-negotiables. Do you have what you're asking for? I want a man who's super social and is social and blah, blah, blah. I ain't really trying to go outside. Now, opposites do attract. Can it be? Yes. I don't know, right? Like, if you don't get it, are you going to kick yourself or kick him because he's not that super social guy and you're not super social? Is that realistic? Is that practical? We got to be flexible in that. I'm not saying that you're going to allow someone to use or abuse you. Never that. I'm not saying that you're going to deal with somebody who is a hot mess financially, who you're absolutely unattracted to. I answered that question just yesterday. I answer it on my lives all the time. Absolutely not. Because you are not going to be able to be intimate with that person, even if you tried. So I would never recommend it because it's absolutely not going to work. People say, oh, well, you're going to end up cheating. It may not have to be all that, but sex is not going to be enjoyable if you think that they're ug mug. So I would never recommend that, but you're flexible. Maybe they don't have to be 6 feet. Maybe they can be 5'10". Maybe they don't have to have abs, but they can care about their physique and go to the gym. That's the flexibility that we're talking about. You love yourself a dark-skinned brother. Maybe you get brown skin. You like yourself a man that's bald. Maybe he has some nice clean knocks. Flexible, okay? So you have that non-negotiable list and you are comparing it to yourself and what you have to offer. And then the last piece, which is actually, I guess next time I do this next year, I have to move that up, is you have to create an action plan of how you're going to change these behaviors. That's the heavy lift. That's the hard work. That's the heavy lift. That's the hard work. How am I going to change these behaviors? I know that I'm argumentative. How am I going to change that behavior so that I'm no longer more difficult than I need to be? Now I pick and choose my battles. How do I get myself there? How are you going to figure that out? So let's talk about it, right? How are we going to get there? The undesirable traits. So when I work with my clients in session 3, in week 3, when I work with them in my full-length coaching program, I give them the homework assignment that they have to come with 50 behaviors or traits. If I have any former clients that are in the comments, please let them know. It used to be 77, y'all lucky. It's 50, and that'd be a struggle for some people, okay? 50 behaviors or traits, good, bad, or indifferent. They come with the list. I then ask them to circle 3 of those behaviors or traits that they do not like, that's undesirable, that makes being in a relationship with them more difficult than what it needs to be. They circle it, they share it, and then my client and I create a plan together as to how we are going to change those behaviors. That's the benefit of hiring a coach, a counselor, a therapist. They're going to tell you specifically what you need to do to change those behaviors. That's the action plan. Now, you can figure it out on your own. You can Google it. You can read books. You could do podcasts from people who actually offer value, not any old body with a mic, right? You can piecemeal, you can figure it out on your own, or you can hire somebody who's going to help you to give you direct answers to your needs. But that's what you need to do. Figure out what's wrong and figure out a plan about how you're going to fix it. That makes yourself more desirable. That could be physical traits. More times than not, it's normally not, to be honest with you, but it can be physical if that's your thing. If you feel like it's your weight that's holding you back, it may not literally be holding you back. You feel like it's your weight that's holding you back. So now you have less confidence and you're not going out socially because you don't feel good about yourself. So by default, it is. It's not the actual weight, but it's the way that you feel about it. So change it. Let's create a plan of how we're going to change it. If it's your teeth, you don't feel good smiling, you don't feel good talking, you're constantly hiding. Let's talk about where you go, how we're going to price this out, what's the plan, how we could fix it. Let's fix it. If it's personality, if it's behavior, that's my area of expertise. As someone who has a master's degree in mental health counseling, let's talk about how the behaviors are problematic and let's change those behaviors so that you are showing up as the best version of yourself so that you can get the partner that you deserve. Here is a trick, beautiful people. I have a secret to share with y'all. I don't share this secret a lot because it's not a nice secret. Not a nice secret. It's not a nice secret. And I don't know how many people are going to hear this and maybe not like me after I say this. I purposefully use the tagline that I help you find the partner that you deserve. I purposely use that tagline. You know why? Because when most people read it, they think Allison's going to help me find a good partner. That's not what the tagline says. I'm going to help you find the partner that you deserve. the partner that you deserve. If you show up half-assed, then that's the partner that you deserve. If you show up unhealed, that's the partner that you deserve. If you show up unwilling to be flexible, then that's the partner that you deserve. If you show up not willing to work on your communication style, then that's the partner that you deserve. So before we talk about, and this is why I told you guys yesterday, y'all hit me up and I get it. Y'all want to know which dating apps. You want to know what language to use. You want to know what pictures to choose. You want to know where to go. And I answer it. I always tell y'all the truth. And I say, that's only a piece of it. And I might answer you because you asked me. That is the small potatoes in comparison to the real work. That is the small, which app, which photos. And I do the work because it is important, but that is the bottom of the priority barrel. Does that make sense, y'all? Please let me know in the chat if I'm making sense. If I'm talking, if I'm making sense to y'all, okay? So I say all this to say, we have to do the work to be the catch, whatever that work is to you. You know you best. So let's talk about how we can work on you. Let's put a plan in place, and then let's execute said plan. I'm an executor. That's what I do. I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And so that's why people choose to work with me, because we're gonna do what we say we're gonna do, okay? All right. So, will you have some off days? Absolutely. It's a process. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be, no one's ever going to be perfect. It's not always going to be perfect all of the time. What I need from you is effort. Are you putting in the effort to become the best version of yourself? Are you putting in an effort to show up for yourself and to show up for your loved ones? Are you putting in the effort to go outside to be found? I left my water bottle. I'm going to give anybody who wasn't here yesterday, I'm going to give you the same example. This is hand sanitizer. It happens to just be right here by me. Hand sanitizer, right? If I want to use this hand sanitizer, it has to be readily available to me. If the hand sanitizer is in the desk, y'all hear the desk? If the hand sanitizer is out of sight, out of mind, I ain't got no hand sanitizer. Can't sanitize my hands. I'm germy now. I'm gonna have to find somebody else's hand sanitizer. I'm gonna have to move on to somebody else, because you, who perfectly works, 99.9% kills the germs, are not visible. If you're not putting yourself out there, you cannot be found since it's here. Make sense? It's a process. It's not gonna be perfect all the time. There's gonna be some times where the hand sanitizer is in the desk because the hand sanitizer is tired. There's gonna be sometimes the hand sanitizer gets empty and needs to be refilled. But you need to show up. It has to be available for use. It has to be available to be seen. It has to be available. Okay, I always have one slick person in my comments. Oh, my husband showed up on my porch. And then I always ask them, tell me more, what's the story? They never answer me. Because unless they're a plumber or electrician, the Uber Eats guy, the Amazon guy, you lying. Somebody said, I posted up a reel. It's viral now. Yesterday, I told you guys it has 1 million views. Today, it has 1.4 million views of this woman who's just sitting at a chair looking real cute, saying, this is how I'm going to find my husband, by ignoring everyone's phone calls and never going outside. Obviously, she's being sarcastic. A lot of people said, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. That ain't funny. That ain't funny and that ain't cute. But okay, if you say so, right? And then people, oh, yeah, that happened for me. Oh, no, it can happen. It can happen. Somebody said, oh, this happened for me. I met my husband at a New Year's Eve party. How, Sway? That means you went outside to a New Year's Eve party. It was in your building. You opened the door to see who's outside for the New Year's Eve party. Ain't no way. And I always ask, they never have an answer. You got to put yourself out there. That's the only way that this thing can work. Again, unless, and plumbers have good jobs, good benefits, you with the union. This is not shade, but that's going to be your limitation. The UPS guy, the delivery guy, somebody like that. Okay. So what is your day 2 homework? You, like my clients, are going to come up with your list of 50 behaviors or traits that make you, good, bad, or indifferent. You're going to circle 3 of them, and you're going to create your action plan as to how you're going to change your behavior. So you're going to create your list. That's your homework tonight. Create your list of 50 behaviors or traits. Choose 3. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself and choose 10. Choose 3 behaviors or traits that are problematic, that you know, I behave like this. I do this. This is a part of who I am. It's a part of my identity. And we're going to change it. This is who I am. So take it or leave it. If you want the best of me, you got to take the worst of me. No, the F I don't, because I don't know you. You're a stranger, ma'am. So this idea of if you want the best of me, then you got to take the worst of me. No, the hell we don't. We don't know you. We don't know you in order to say, well, she's a good person, so I'll take an L on this. 80-20 rule. Right now, you're a stranger, so I'm not taking no crap. I'm not being flexible. I'm not being fair. I'm not giving grace. You're an absolute stranger. So you're going to come up with your 3, and you're going to create your action plan as to how you can change that behavior. Okay. Now, if you don't want to do all this work alone, because it's already day 2 and it's a whole lot of work, and you recognize that either you don't have the skill set or you recognize that time is of the essence and you don't want to do this work by yourself, it's tedious, it's going to take too long, and you want an opportunity to get this done as quickly as possible, because my goal is to get my clients in a committed relationship within 6 months in my 6-month coaching program, then you can book a $1 consultation. I will have a special price for those who are on the challenge. If you register for the challenge, you will get a special discount. Okay, but I'm not here to pitch too heavy. I'm just letting you know that the opportunity is there. If you recognize it's day 2 and you're like, sis, this is too much. It's day 2 and you're like, I need somebody who's going to just give me the answer. It's day 2 and you're like, I want answers faster than what YouTube, podcasts, and books are going to offer me. Then you can go to my Instagram and click the link in my bio, or you can go to book Alison, 1L, bookallison.com, and you can book your $1 consultation. We talk for 15 minutes. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And if you are a good fit for the program, I invite you. You're either down with the get down or you're not, and you'll figure it out on your own, which is A-okay. Your choice, no pressure. But don't come back to me in this challenge in a year and say, yeah, we did the consultation and I'm right back to square one. I love you, but come on, we got to take action here. All right. So I am now going to open up the queue for our Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I've been talking for 37 minutes straight, which means it is your turn to do the talking. I'm going to ask, see my throat. I have a limited time. I used to teach for an hour and a half straight. I ain't got it like how I used to. But I'm going to ask you to raise your hands. I'm also going to ask that if you asked a question yesterday, if you can wait to the end so that I can give everyone else an opportunity to ask their question first. I'm going to try to get through everyone's. I was almost successful. I only missed one question yesterday. I'm going to try to get through as many people's questions today. So please raise your hand if you have a question. What are the parameters of said question? Anything. You can ask me about what you learned yesterday. You can ask me about what you learned today. You can ask me about anything that we haven't covered thus far that we may or may not cover. It's only 4 days. I'm doing the best I can with what I got. You can ask me personal questions about me, about my work. I am an open book. Whatever questions you have are only coming from the Zoom. So if you're on Instagram right now, you need to register. And the link absolutely works because there are 148 people in here. So the link works. So you need to refresh your stuff if it's not working for you. Delete your Zoom app, add it back. Work it out. All right. I'm only taking questions from the Zoom. All right. So I'm going to start with Cassandra. Hey, Cassandra, you can unmute yourself. What's your question, babes?
Okay, there we go. So when we're making a list of 50 things, like personality traits. So I guess like, as I was thinking about some of the things that aren't the best about me, I'm kind of stumped on exactly how I would create a plan to not be like that. So when you found that you were argumentative and that's just like your style, that's just your way, you know, if something just seems like normal to you or habitual to you, like how did you figure how you were going to about yourself? Like what did you do and how do you thrive? Because I'm assuming that being argumentative in the past did something for you. So how did you compensate for that?
That's a good question. So first, I want to change your language a little bit. And this is a part of the work that I do as a coach is reframing things, right? So I think you said, and forgive me if I misquote, but you said something along the lines of like, that's just you. No, it's not just me, right? Like it is a trauma response it is me responding to stimuli. So that might be, I'm from Brooklyn. I was born in the 80s, the crack epidemic. I feel like I got to be tough. It could have been the fact that I went to a gifted and talented school. And so in order for me to stand out amongst all of my peers who are super smart, I had to prove myself by developing these skills and the gift of the gab. It could have been, as a Caribbean person, I'm in my household and I don't have a voice because children don't have a voice in the Caribbean. So it was a part of me, but it's a response that's not necessarily my nature, if that makes sense. So that's a part of the reframing, right? That's not who I am, it's who I choose to be. Everything about me is who I choose to be as a response to either positive or negative stimuli. So first I had to change my approach when it came to that, right? And so when I decided that, oh, let me answer the other question you said. You asked about, goodness gracious, it was good. Like it did something
like
for
how did yes, right.
Yeah, that was the other question I wanted to answer. So it did something for me. I felt good. I felt smart. I felt valuable. I felt like nobody's smarter than me because if you say something, I'm going to be able to counter that. And I'm going to have this quotation and this statistic and this proof and this evidence, and I'm going to out-talk you, and I'm smarter than you. And I found joy in that, right? That was a part of my ego stroking, that I could out-talk you and you're not smarter than me and blah, 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 blah. And that's how I'm going to argue you down, and I'm going to beat you down in this argument so much so you say, forget it, you feel stupid and I feel smart. So that's what I would, and see how unhealthy and toxic and problematic that sounds, but that is my truth, right? So that's what I was getting out of it. How did I change the behavior was your question, right? So I'll tell you this. I had to decide, number one, I had to be honest and say it was problematic. And I had to make a decision and say, what's more important to me? Is it more important to me that I am right? Or is it more important to me that I am happy? Meaning, is it more important to me that I prove that I'm right in whatever this argument is to this person, even if it is in an aggressive, potentially abusive way? Or do I want to bring a resolution to the disagreement that we have? And even if that means that that person feels like they're right, am I getting what I want? I'm looking at the end goal. Am I getting what I want at the end? And if that means that this person feels like they are right and they feel like they won, I'm the one who won at the end. So what's more important to me? Is it that I'm right, or that I'm happy, or I get what I want at the end? And I decided that it was more important to me that I'm happy, or it's more important to me that I get the result, or whatever it is at the end. Even if that other person feels like they won, they could feel like they won because I know that I won internally. What's more important, that they feel like I won, or that I know that I won? So that's how I made a decision. I decided, and that's how I approach things. So I pick and choose my arguments. My husband and I have had 2 serious arguments in 7 years.
Wow. So if we do coaching with you, like, so I've identified like at least one thing that has been problematic, but I don't perceive it as such. Like in other words, like I'm like philosophical and deep, and I just go in and, and sometimes people like trivial conversations. So in coaching with you, would you be able to like support or like provide suggestions as to like, okay, this may not work for partnership. Like maybe this works in, school. Maybe this works in the helping profession. Maybe this works on the pulpit, but you're not preaching right now. Like you don't want to be like, are you able to like, if I'm stuck and I don't know, like, okay, I recognize something is not desirable because that's the feedback that I'm getting. I don't perceive it as such, but I'm willing to change it, but I'm stumped as to what the alternative could be. Would you be able to support us to get around those stuck points?
That is an excellent question. Excellent question. I'm so glad that you asked that, because so funny, when I was presenting, I thought about what I'm about to say to you. I didn't say it because of time, and then I moved on. Let me tell you that when you guys do your homework and you circle your 3 problematic traits, you have to agree that it's problematic. If you don't agree and believe and recognize and accept that it's problematic, you will not change the behavior. So to answer your question, transparently, no. Because unless you're willing to say, in my case, I am argumentative, this is problematic, this has caused conflict with my relationships, not only boyfriends, like friends. I have friends that still think of me as my old way, and they kind of like walk around on eggshells because they don't know what to expect from me, because Alison just might spaz out. I don't do that anymore, but that's how they know me, right? unless you are willing to 100% accept that this is truth and this is problematic, then you can't change. So there's no way that I can help you change that. What I would say though, is that we may have to chalk that up to your 80-20. So if the philosophical deep people say it's a problem, but you don't recognize it, you don't acknowledge it, then that might have to be the 20% that's just not that amazing about you. We will choose something else that you do recognize, that you do acknowledge, that you do accept wholeheartedly as a problem, and we'll work on that. But it's like somebody saying, I recognize that I should probably have abs, but I don't really care about abs too much. And you're not going to eat what you got to eat. You're not going to do the workout that you need to work out in order to get there. You have to 100% acknowledge it to be truth. Then we could do the work. Is that okay, Cassandra?
Thank you so much. That was really helpful. Perfect.
And again, and nobody's ever going to be perfect. So if that's that thing, that'll be your thing. And they'll be all right. They'll be all right. 80-20. Okay. I don't want to get this wrong. Is it gosh, can you just unmute? You know who I'm talking to.
Sidereal.
Oh, it's not even that hard. Sidereal. Hi, Sidereal. Talk to me. What's your question?
Hi, Cassandra. I think somebody actually posted this in the comments. It was a little bit about being secure about your body.
Mm-hmm.
That's not exactly my issue. I did watch like a documentary on Netflix and it helped me through that. But my issue is like when my partner will comment on something, I make it a bigger insecurity inside of myself. So my question is really like basically insecurities and how to get past those insecurities. More specifically, this is like a sexual insecurity about like how many times you're supposed to be intimate with your partner.
Mm-hmm. So, and let me know if I'm crossing the line. When you talk about the sexual insecurity, how many times are you able to be more intimate than what you are, like physically able?
Yes.
Okay. What is stopping you from being more physically intimate?
Mental unrest, just like overthinking and just like because they have commented before on something, I make it a bigger issue in my head.
And so as a result, you don't want to be
as intimate at all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I have a couple of approaches that you can take on this. One approach is if you're in a position, if you agree with the comment, which goes back to what Cassandra said, if you agree with the comment that was made, that's, oh, I wish that you did it like this, or I wish you arched your back like that, or I wish you were better at doing this, change it. Right? Like if you're with the partner, you care about the partner, you want to show up for them and you have the capacity to change it, then change it. That's number one. That's one option. I know you're laughing, but if you can change it, it's not like if the person's asking for things that are beyond what you're willing to do, right? Let's say they want another person in the bedroom, like, you know, something that's beyond your scope, don't. But if it's something that you can do, that you can change, that you can work on, then you're with your partner, you love them, you want to show up for them and you're willing to do it, then just do it. Number two, in terms of you just having too much on your mind and in your heart, we got to find a way to lessen that. And I'm saying this as the mother of an 8-month-old baby. We have to find a way. We have to figure it out. If that means that we're leaning on our parents more to support us, if that means that we're in a position to hire help to clean the house every 2 weeks, like as women, we take on so much so that we can't many times show up beyond, like after 8 o'clock, our brain is fried.
Yeah.
If that's what it is, like in terms of your responsibilities, we need to find a way to manage those responsibilities. I don't know if you're a clean freak, you ain't got to clean every day. I don't know. Whatever it is, you need to find a way to lessen your responsibilities, leaning on others, paying for support, whatever that might look like, letting the house be messy sometimes. You will not die. The kids won't die. Nobody will die. Letting things go sometimes so that you have the capacity to even have the energy to show up for your partner in that way. My last suggestion to you is potentially, if you want to take it that far, if my suggestions aren't helpful enough, talk to a professional. Like there are sexologists, people who have master's degrees in sex and how to help people to connect better sexually. I know one of them, she is a part of a trio called the Relationship Boosters. One of them is a sexologist. She has a master's degree in sexology. Reach out, see if you can get a session. talk about what some of the insecurities are and how you can overcome them so you have more depth, more understanding. But I gave you 2 quick answers and then something that is more professional and more in-depth.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Crystal P.
Hi, Allison.
I love Muffin.
So I have a question. I started, my son is in the, oh my gosh. So I started dating this guy in February after taking your 31-day challenge class. And things are going great. But I do have a son who has autism, and I'm not sure how to bring that up to him. I don't want to lead anyone on. I wouldn't want anyone to lead me on because not everyone can deal with a special needs child. We have had conversations like watching shows, and we're actually watching Love is Blind. And one of the ladies on there was a speech pathologist, and she was talking about children with Down syndrome. And I did say to him, like, oh, like, what if you were dating someone who had a kid that had Down syndrome? Like, how would you feel about that? And his response was like, oh, well, if I really like the person, then I would stick it out with them. But Down syndrome is way worse than autism, but I just don't know how to bring that up.
You're probably going to know exactly what I'm going to say. The New Yorker in me is going to say, you just do it. So it could be over the phone. It could be in person. He hasn't met your son.
No.
Okay. Are you even ready? The diagnosis or not, are you even ready for that next step?
No, I don't even know when's the right time, honestly, to introduce your kid.
Oh no, you disappeared. Are you still there? Oh no, I think she fell off. This is being recorded, so I'm going to answer anyway. In case she doesn't make it back, she can listen later. So my recommendation is either face-to-face or over the phone, not a text message. You're going to say, hey, remember that day that we were watching Love is Blind? But she's coming back now. Crystal, you back? I saw you request to join back. Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking. So remember that day we were watching such and such? The reason why I asked you is because this has been quite uncomfortable for me, but I wanted to share with you, now that we've been dating for a significant period of time, that my son has an autism diagnosis. Are you familiar with autism? Yes, no. Well, the type that he has is this, and these are some of the behaviors that he exhibits and blah, 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 blah. I would like for you to meet him one day. Are you ready for that? He says, yes, great. He says, no, but that's the end of the conversation. That's the end of the relationship, right? If he's unwilling to meet your child or potentially give your child a chance, then there's something to talk about. Now,
okay.
You heard that? You heard all that, Crystal?
Yeah, my son hung up the Zoom call.
I knew it. I didn't want to blame him because I'm like, oh gosh, why you gotta blame him? I knew it. I knew that he hung it up.
He sure did.
I know. So right. So I remember that day when I asked you. The reason is because, and be transparent. Y'all been dating since February. It's been a long time. You know, I was nervous to share this with you because a lot of people have preconceived notions about children who have this autism diagnosis, and so I was a little nervous and and if it's okay, I want to send them an article, send them a video so you can learn a little bit more. And then when you're prepared to do the introduction, you do it. Now, to answer your question about when to introduce children, I have an opinion that is contrary to a lot of other people. This is my opinion. I remember we talked earlier about sticking to the script and doing what you do. Like, I only have an 8-month-old. I've only been a parent for 8 months. So y'all parents could take what I have to say with a grain of salt, okay? My suggestion and recommendation is for you to introduce your child to the person that you are seeing when you get to the point that you care about them. If you would use the word care, it's time for an introduction. So what do I mean by that? You don't want to introduce your child to anybody, anytime. Like any old body. You on a first date, you on a third date, they're any old body. You don't want to do that introduction so quickly because they could be out very quickly. I also do not think, and this is where I've gotten the pushback, it's a good idea for you to wait for you to be in love or in a committed relationship either. Because if the two of them meet and they hate each other and they're at each other's throats, especially like we're talking about like a teenage boy, teenage girl, they hate each other, they're at each other's throats, then what you gonna do? Now you in love with this guy, your kid hates this guy, the guy hates the kid, now you're stuck. If you get to a point where I like this guy, he's a good person, I care about his well-being, and if he asked me to be his girl tomorrow, I would say yes. I think that is the perfect time, because if they meet each other and they hate each other, you're not crying yourself to sleep at night because you love this man and it's not working in your household. Also, you're not having a circle of guys who are just in and in and in all the time. So right in the middle. I really like this guy. I think that we have great potential. If he asked me to be his girlfriend tomorrow, I would say yes. Now is the right time for the introduction. That's my take. Take it or leave it. Okay, Crystal? I know you're on mute. I don't know the baby's bothering you, but okay. I hope you got it. We're good. We're going to move on. Lachey, my babe.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Allison. How are you doing?
Hi, Love Muffin.
I guess my question is, I think someone asked something similar yesterday, but how do you determine if something is a red flag or if it is you self-sabotaging? Because I've been talking to someone a little over a month now, and he says he wants to take things slow. He wants to be committed, but he wants to take things slow.
What does take things slow mean if he wants a commitment? What is he taking slow?
I guess the whole making it official part, or that's the part that kind of, messes me up, because I've made it very clear that I want to be in a relationship, that I want something long-term, that I want something that's going to lead to marriage. Mm-hmm. And I'm not to, be someone's friend for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I've made that very clear.
So I'm not clear. So I need you to get clear, right? Because you said he's willing to commit, but so I need to be, what do you mean exactly, right? So you're going to say to him, hey, babe, I recognize that you say you want to take things slow. Could you explain to me exactly what that looks like? What is it that you want to go slow with? Is it committing to me so that we are exclusive? That is the same thing. Do not let people play this exclusively dating, but not together. It's the same damn thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. What does that mean exactly? What exactly do you want to take slowly? Is it committing to me where you are my man and I am your woman? Is it taking it slow in terms of sex? What are we talking about here? Once you are clear on exactly what he means by taking it slow, by the way, if he can't articulate it, then that is a problem. Goodbye, sir. Because you just use the term of taking it slow and go with the flow. And what flow? What does that mean specifically? What does it mean? So if when he answers your question, you then have to decide whether or not you're okay with that. So if he says, take it slow means I want to commit to you. You are my woman. I am your man. However, I want to take more time before we meet family members. Taking it slow means I want to commit to you, but I don't want to become sexual until find out exactly what the man means. Mm-hmm. Ask for a definition and don't do it rude or nasty. Do it warm and welcoming and soft so that he feels comfortable opening up. Create an environment where, so babe, you said that you wanted to take it slow, but I'm not really sure what that means. What exactly does that look like for us? What are you comfortable doing right now together as two people seeing each other? What are you not comfortable? What titles? What do you mean by that? Not, well, I'm not trying to be nobody girlfriend. I'm 37 years. Right? You're not going to get the response that you want. Going back to the question about when another young lady asked me, like, how do you control that argumentative thing? Right? Yes. That's how you need to control it. So we're not, and I'm not trying to waste my time. You can say that to me. You ain't going to say that to them because you're not going to get a favorable response. You're not going to win, so you might as well not do it. Babe, this is what you said. I was unclear. I'm not really sure. What does that look like exactly for you? What does that look like exactly for you? If he can't articulate it, then we're done. If he can, if you're okay with it, then you're okay with it. I would tell you though, you said 1 month. To me, 2-3 months is a fair enough time for someone to decide. So if he says to you tonight, well, what I mean, babe, is that I'm not ready to get into a committed relationship just yet. I would not dead him. It's only been a month. If this was 4 months and he says that he's not ready, then it's over. But a month to me is reason. It's not unreasonable for him to need some more time.
So if he says So if it's the whole commitment thing, then that shouldn't be a red flag. I should probably just calm down my anxiety.
Yes, for 1 month?
Yes.
You want to commit to him?
He checks off, I say, 5 out of my 8 non-negotiables.
First of all, the homework was 5 or 6. Who the hell told you to do 8?
You're right. You're right.
You are something else, Lachey.
You're right. You're
okay.
right.
The three that you, 2 that you illegally have, there's 3 left. What are the 3 that he doesn't check off?
There are minor things like the desire to travel. He wants to travel, just not where I want to travel potentially.
That should not be on your list. This is why I tell you guys to do 5 or 6. This is why this is a teachable moment, Lachey. So this isn't against you. This is to everybody who does not listen and does what they want to do. And non-negotiable. That means there is no negotiation. It is a must. As soon as the person says the opposite of what's on that list, as soon as they exhibit behavior, the opposite of what's on that list, they are donezo.
Yes.
That's why it shouldn't be on there.
Okay.
So go back to your list, make sure it's non-negotiable. Nothing to talk about. If this man is not a Christian, I cannot date him. If this man does not want children, I do not want him. If this man is not affectionate, I do not want him. If this man is not blank, I do not. If he's not family oriented, if he is not hardworking, non-negotiables. Go back to your list and wrap up here. Go back to your list. Make sure the list is non-negotiable. If he's checking off the boxes, that means that you would commit to him. Double check, triple check. Because we don't check off the box one time, and that's why I teach my people in my coaching program how to triple, quadruple check over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And that's why 1 month I don't think is sufficient because you checked it off like once. 3 months gives you 3 opportunities, let's say, to check and double check and triple check.
Okay.
And give a month is not enough. Go back. Okay. All right, Love Muffin. Nancy.
Hello.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. So my question was, I was listening to yesterday to some of the responses about how to meet people, and there is a suggestion about getting out to like a coffee shop or going to different events. And my question relating to that is, how much does your location affect that? Like if you live somewhere where it's like a really small town, like your chances of meeting someone, I feel like, are a lot less. Should you potentially try to look at trying to meet people in like bigger cities, or relocating just to like open up that pool of potential people you could date?
That's a good question. I get it all the time. What city are you in, or what town?
I'm like in the middle of nowhere, Texas. So it's like there's like major cities around me would be like Austin, Dallas.
How far are Austin and Dallas?
I would say like 5 hours, 5 or 6.
That's significant. Okay. So I'm gonna answer this in a couple of like out of order. So forgive me if I don't tackle everything, and you can restate it. I would not recommend moving to a larger city for the sole purpose of opening up your dating options. I would consider moving to a larger city if there's career opportunities that are clear, better weather, closer to loved ones, and by default, you're around 2 million people versus 100,000. I would not move for that sole purpose, because if you have a hard time finding a partner, you're going to feel defeated, angry. You uprooted your entire life for nothing. You're going to beat yourself up. So if there's a career opportunity, if you're closer to a loved one, if you enjoy the hustle and the bustle of the city life, and that's what you want outside of partnership, and then secondarily, you're now opening up opportunities for you to meet more people because you're in a larger place, then do that, but not as your number one reason. Okay. So that's, yes, obviously. Yeah. If you're in a smaller town, you're going to have less options. Absolutely. I can't lie about that at all. Yeah, you are. Is it impossible? No, because there's people in your small town who met each other who are married. So that means it's not impossible, but yeah, it's going to diminish your options. I will though say that there are plenty of people who are in Miami, LA, Atlanta, Chicago, who are struggling. So are numbers the only factor? No. So there is a downside of less. I cannot lie. I would not recommend driving 5 hours just to go to a party or an event Again, unless there's reason. You have a sister in Dallas. She invited you out anyway. You're going to go spend the weekend, but I don't want you traveling 5 hours just for the hope and the prayer. I don't want you moving 5 hours just for the hope and the prayer of a partner. If it's for something else, let the partner be secondary.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ariana's going to be our last one. So we have Brittany, Bethany, Tamika, S.E., S.C., Eggy, and Ariana's our last one. Brittany.
Hi, thank you, Alison. So my question is, it's kind of going off of what Cassandra was saying in the beginning when she was talking about some of the undesirable traits and things like that. My question is, when we have those undesirable traits that we acknowledge, should we still be dating, or should we be working those out and then date?
That's an excellent question. Excellent question. And I get it all the time. And let me tell you, life is too short for us to be waiting for something close to perfection. We're never going to get to perfection, right? Life is too short. So I say the only time I recommend that people should put a halt on dating is if they are pregnant, if they have a small child and like 18 months or younger, right? Like you're not even sleeping through the night yet. You can't be spending no time on nobody's dates. Okay. Or if they literally cannot take care of themselves, meaning you cannot feed yourself, your housing is questionable, that's when you should stop dating, right? Or any other like very, very extreme. I'm talking about someone who, let's say they were sexually assaulted recently, like a real trauma that just happened that's hurting them hard. Something other than you working on becoming a better version of yourself, you can absolutely do at the same time. You're working on your health, you're working on your physique, you're going through therapy, absolutely at the same time. You're working with a coach at the same time. Again, unless you are actively pregnant, you have a little baby, you literally cannot take care, like you got to prioritize feeding yourself over who you're going to go on a date with tomorrow, or you are actively experiencing some kind of trauma, serious trauma, work on yourself and date. You do not have to wait.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thank you, Brittany. Tamika?
Hi, Alison.
Hi, Tamika.
Okay, so a little bit about me. I am a single parent and I work 2 jobs, right? And that's for the goal of like buying a home and things like that. Mm-hmm. Recently, I was in contact with like someone from my past that we didn't really date, because my daughter was small and I just wasn't ready. So I just, hung out with him, and things like that. But this time around, we was like, we should really give it a shot because we have a lot in common. And anytime we hang out, it's pretty much fun. It's a good time. It's not, a bad thing. But recently we got into an argument, and it really wasn't even an argument. It was via text, which bothered me because it was just really communication, lack of communication. Mm-hmm. And I would say it was on both parts. I wouldn't say it was just him. It was myself as well, because I didn't set my expectations of communication. Mm-hmm. And so when speaking with him about it, I texted him and I asked him to call me. I never got a call. And so I'm like, it's weird because I'm more on social media, and we all know if you're on Instagram, it shows like if someone's viewing your post, or if they're posting something, or if they're active. And clearly he's been active for a few days, and he had been ignoring the call. And it was because he said that he didn't feel the need to speak with me because he felt as if it would be that I would be argumentative. Now, listen, I did not approach the situation in an argumentative way. I just asked, hey, what's going on? Like, what time will you be in this certain area? Because I was going to meet up with him, given I had found a babysitter for my daughter. And he didn't reply. He didn't reply for a very long time. Like when I say the next day replied. And so I said, well, my purpose of saying that was to, and I said, I would prefer to talk because I feel like texting, you don't really hear my tone. You don't really get a sense of what I'm saying necessarily. You're going to perceive it as in a way that I don't want you to. So I would prefer that you call me and he didn't do that. But he continued on to text, and he continued to text, you know, like almost to be right. And I told him at this point, I wasn't trying to communicate in a way to be right or wrong. I was communicating for understanding, for you to know my expectations, for us to come with a compromise and to resolve the issue. Now, for me, that was a big thing, right? Because in the past, I would have overthought the situation. I would have listened to respond, and I would have just kind of went off. You know what I mean? But this time around, like, you know, I've been really working, trying to do and communicate better. Yes. And in this situation, it kind of failed. And so now I'm torn in between starting over or just giving him time to think about what he wants to do.
Okay. So the issue at hand is that he doesn't want to talk the problem out. Is that the root of the problem? He doesn't want to talk it out?
That's what I feel like it is. Like he's avoiding it. But
okay.
he also says, well, no, I'm not, because that's my field. Like he's a student counselor. So like he works with kids in you know, in trauma situations.
Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean that he's the expert. I did the same
exactly.
And as I said when I was telling you guys my story, you should not be your own client. Like they tell you that all the time. Okay, so is it that he doesn't want to talk about this issue, but he's willing to move forward with you in terms of dating, or he's done with this issue and he's done with you?
That I don't know. It's unclear. Because I felt like the conversation was left unclear, you know, like, because I told him, I said, you know, I'm open for a conversation. When you find time, call me. Mm-hmm. But that hasn't happened. Okay. But he still continues to text.
Right. So what you're going to do is you are going to establish a boundary, which is when you are in conflict with people, the best remedy is to speak face-to-face or over the phone. You have expressed for him to give you a call. If he is unwilling to work this problem out with you over the phone or face-to-face, then that tells you everything that you need to know, that if you were to ignore this, then for the rest of what y'all gonna do when y'all fighting over what school the kids should go to? What y'all gonna do when you fighting over whether or not we should prioritize fixing the roof or fixing the pipes? What y'all gonna do when somebody overdrafts in the account and didn't tell the other? Real relationship problems. What y'all gonna do when his mother's disrespectful and he doesn't stand up for you? What you gonna do when one of your friends talks to him any kind of way and you didn't stand up for him? What you gonna do when you need to move for your job and he's not supportive? If y'all can't talk out your problems now, this is gonna be a recipe for disaster later. Stick to your boundary. I wanna talk about it. You call me when you get a chance. And what I would do, and this might be me being a BITCH, every time he texts me, I would copy and paste and say, hey, hope all is well. Give me a call when you get a chance. Hey, girl, what you want for breakfast? Hey, hope all is well. Give me a call when you get a chance. I just saw your brother over at the gym. Hey, hope all is well. I'm not doing this with you.
Right.
And of course, you're not going to do I'm just doing this because
it's I got it. I got you. Right? I got you. I know. Uh-huh.
I'm not doing this with you. Because if he can't communicate when there's a conflict now, even if he thinks the conflict is minor and it's not a big deal, it's a big deal to you. It's not about if it's a big deal to him. If he can't communicate that clearly now, then what about when you have more problems, real problems, big problems? I think that this is giving you some insight. I would give him his space. If he would like to talk and you want to talk when he's ready, if that's a day, a week, a month, and you want to do it, then do it. Do not ignore this.
Right. Yep.
Don't ignore it. All right, Tamika?
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. If you want to talk more, then you can click the link in my bio and you can book a 30-minute session, okay?
Okay, gotcha.
You're upset. I know that time is limited.
Yeah, that's fine. I got you. I'll do it.
SE?
Hello, Alison. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
I am very content, right? I am single. I'm happy. I have a great career. I have my own money. Like I frolic the hills of Switzerland. I've seen icebergs in Patagonia. I've done all the stuff, but I don't know how to get unstuck around dating, right? I'm not on the apps, right? I'm in a city with lots of people. I'm in DC. I just don't know how to make myself like available, right? I feel I've gotten so used to like doing things on my own, right? Like I've traveled the world on my own. I go out to dinner by myself. Like I have a group of really excellent women, female friends who are also single, right? On paper, like, we are fly. We are first generation Americans, right? Like we're doing great things, but we're all single. And I want to share my life with someone. I just don't know how to get like unstuck from being single. I'm not on the apps because they don't really appeal to me. I don't feel like I can glean much from some pithy comments or frankly corny comment about a guy on an app. And so I just don't know how to like make myself more available because I want to share my life with somebody. And I also feel like I'm in the best position ever because I feel very happy. I don't feel like I need anyone, but I want to be with a great guy. I just don't know how to get unstuck from being single. I don't.
Yes. Okay. So you started here with the challenge, which is good. And I'm going to give the full length 45-minute answer on Thursday, but I'm going to give you some quick responses and tips here. Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, get on the app, stop playing. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't like the gym, but I got to lose 20 pounds before October when I go to Jamaica. I don't like it. We don't like it. People don't like it. Their strategy, which I'm going to get into the strategy specifically, which apps are good apps for you in DC, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you some strategy about how to create a winning profile so you can help to reduce the amount of annoyance and inappropriate matches that you get. Number 2, you have to go out with a friend or by yourself. Your crew of girlfriends is off-putting. And I don't want anyone to say, well, if he was a real man, that he would approach all of us anyway. No, if he's a smart man, he's going to do the path of least resistance. He has beautiful SE with all of her friends on one side of the party. He has beautiful Alison by herself or with one friend on that side. Which one is the more logical and reasonable choice? Me, because it's only me or one other friend. So the crew of girls you're talking about, that's so amazing. They're slowing you down. One friend or by yourself. Okay. And then the last piece is that I don't know if you were just saying this. I don't know if this is how you usually describe yourself. And maybe it's just to me, or maybe it's because it's us women. But please make sure that when you do introduce yourself or you're speaking to someone about you, do not lead with all the places you've gone and the icebergs that are melting that you've seen in person and the beautiful train ride through Switzerland. Don't lead with that.
I don't.
Okay,
I definitely don't. No, I was just trying to like sort of paint a picture that
yes.
Like I feel like because I can do for myself, I feel like I've gotten very comfortable being by myself because that's what I know and I don't want to be. And so I certainly don't lead with that. It's just, I just don't know how to, because I don't think that I'm an apps person. I don't think that like I'm an apps person. Like I'm just swiping. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. It's okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Most people are not apps people. Most people don't even want to be on there, right? Most serious people don't want to be on there, but it is a tool of many tools. So one tool would be apps, another tool is going out socially, another tool is hiring a matchmaker, right? Like it's a tool. I would recommend, because it's one of the cheaper options, especially compared to a matchmaker, to give it a try with strategy. So we're going to talk about that strategy. Hiring a dating coach that can give you specific strategy that fits your needs in order to get unstuck. If you're trying to lose weight and you plateau, there may be a point where you need to institute something different. This is the something different. I think I told you guys yesterday, I look at Eventbrite to find events in your city that have like-minded people. Mm-hmm. You're going to check out Facebook groups, look, whatever your interest is, if it's an interest that has men. So if your interest is like ballroom dancing, don't do ballroom dancing in DC, but something that men would like, hip hop events in DC, look for events that are going to have men. And again, we're going to talk about this in great detail so that you're positioning yourself around them. Okay.
Thank you, Alison.
To be unstuck, no problem. And I believe you when you say you don't lead with it. I just wanted to make sure, just in case there's anybody who's out there, because someone in the comments said, can you elaborate a little bit on why? When you, as a woman, right, if we want masculine men, then we need to be feminine women, and leading with, not dimming your light. I'm not talking about dimming your light. I'm not talking about lying, but leading with, and this is not you, SE, this is in general, hi, my name is Alison, and I started my business 3 years ago, and I made $280,000, and I have this master's degree, 2 master's degrees, in case you didn't know. And for work, that makes sense. So I led with, hi, my name is Alison, I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master. That makes sense for work, because I'm trying to prove to you guys I know what I'm talking about. So listen to me. That doesn't work with dating. When it comes to being feminine women, we have to lead with some of the characters and behaviors that lead more towards femininity, which is how, in essence, and this isn't a nice way to put it, but it's the truth, is how can I show up for you as a person? Relatively speaking, men who are doing well for themselves don't give an F about how much money you make or how well your education is. The only kind of guys who care about how much money you make are the ones who don't have any, which are ones you don't want anyway. So that's why I say don't lead with that for the young lady who asked on why. Okay.
Thank you, Alison. I appreciate it.
No problem. SC.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I wanted to ask your opinion on dating someone who has admitted that they have cheated in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my friends were like, "Oh, that's a red flag." I would have immediately left them. But that was done like pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they've told me that they've gone to therapy, not specifically on the fact that why they cheated, but they've done some work themselves. I mean, granted, I had to put that person in like the friend zone because of other reasons, but if I do meet another person in my dating journey that admits to me that they have cheated in the past, is that like a red flag?
In my opinion, no. And I'm going to tell you why. The likelihood of you meeting someone who has never cheated, ever, is slim to none. Sorry. So I appreciate the fact that they told you that this is something that they've done in the past and that they've worked on themselves in general so they could show up as a better person than they were before. I actually like that and appreciate that. I don't subscribe to once a cheater, always a cheater. I subscribe to, I choose to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so if they choose to cheat, they will cheat. And if they meet someone or they've grown or developed in themselves, it has more to do with the individual than it does who they're dating. They've matured, whatever that might look like. I realize how much of a mistake I've made in the past. I lost my wife. I lost my long-term girlfriend over cheating. I don't want to go through that heartbreak again. I've learned from my mistake. So I would not dismiss someone who has cheated in the past, because I'll tell you, I don't believe that there are many people who have never, even if they were 17 in high school and kissed another girl, I don't believe that there are many who have never done it. So the fact that they're upfront about it and they did some work so that they can recognize how they don't show up as the best version of themselves and they need to, I think says a lot. And so I would not dismiss someone who has cheated in the past. If they cheated on me in the past, that's a different story. But cheated in the past, I would not dismiss them for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Eggie, you're next. Now, Eggie, I love you, girl, but it was like a long convo. My baby was crying for me yesterday. So I need you to give me the quicks. What question do you have today?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So I'll make it quick. The first one has to do with, I say the first one. I was in a situation a couple of weeks back where I was seeing a guy and he was okay. He was good. He did meet some of my check boxes around caring, always checking up on me and seemed to care about my general well-being. But there was a time where work, rather according to him, work got intense and he withdrew a bit. And I did try to reach out a couple of times and I got a message from him that work was intense and at this point in time, he doesn't really think he has enough time to focus for a committed relationship. Okay. So I find like one of my when I say sabotaging behavior is to just shut down at that point and kind of like move on. So I did exactly that. And I told him, oh no, I want a relationship and, essentially goodbye. And now I'm realizing that probably I did that as one of my not so great behavior. And I'm wondering, a couple of weeks have passed.
I disagree with you. I'm going to cut you off. I disagree with you. Okay. This gentleman said that he doesn't have time to date. You didn't cut him off. He cut you off. And you responded
Right.
appropriately. You accepted the fact that he said he doesn't have time. You know that you want to commit a relationship. You know that you want depth. You know you want quality time. He says that he's unable to deliver. I don't know how true that is. It really doesn't matter. All we know is that he says that he's unable to deliver, like my story in the beginning. So he's unable to deliver. I don't think that that's toxic or problematic. I'm glad that you listened to him. He told you he can't, so he can't. That's it.
Okay,
That's
because I was now thinking out more about it now, and I'm wondering if I did really let a situation go by. But thanks for clarifying that. My question would now be that if I, as a person, and I know that this is my sabotaging behavior, are there things that I could put in place to kind of work on it? Like, say, for example, the phone call date that I had yesterday, I had a phone call, and I found out at the end of it, when I was going through it, I thought I overshared more than I should have, like giving details around my kid, where they go, and I probably should have shared that information, and a couple of personal things around myself, which I probably shouldn't have shared over a phone call without meeting a person. So I'm wondering, are there things that I can probably put a plan in motion of things to put in place? Yeah.
In order to do what? In order to slow down how much
in order to slow down, to get better, and kind of like stop self-sabotaging behaviors, or
okay, so it depends on what the self-sabotaging behavior is. So if we're talking specifically about you oversharing, that is the self-sabotaging behavior. You share too much, it chases people away. Then one thing that you can do is you can create a note in your phone. You can make a sticky note, whatever that looks like. This is what I'm going to discuss on today's date. That is all. I'm not going to move from that. I will not bring up my child until, not the fact that you have one, that needs to be from the beginning, but I will not mention my child's name until date number 3. You create the parameters of what you think is enough and what you think is too much. Write it down and dedicate to yourself. I will only discuss work and this. I will not discuss politics. I will not discuss religion. You make a list of what you think is acceptable, discuss it. You make a list of what you don't think is acceptable, and don't. Organize yourself so that you know what to talk about, what you don't know to talk about. But any other self-sabotaging behaviors, I would have to specifically know what they are in order to tell you what to do. And that would be more full-on coaching than what I could answer on a Zoom.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Crystal also gave you a suggestion in the comments. Ariana, you're my last one, beautiful. What's up?
Hi, Alison. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So my question is, well, it's a two-part question, which one I think you've already answered with the first question on being argumentative. But just as a bit of background, I'm an attorney and I am a workaholic. I don't know if that's the Capricorn in me or if it's just the field I'm in and it comes with the territory, but I find that I work a lot and I sometimes don't make time for dating. And when I do, the guys I date sometimes don't understand or don't believe me when I say, I'm working on such and such and I'm in a work hole, and I kind of go MIA unintentionally, but it happens. And also I've been told that I can't separate my career with my relationship. So I can come off as a lawyer in relationships where I'm kind of goes into what you were talking about being argumentative, but I guess I've been told that I can interrogate someone or overanalyze, overthink, and I need to be able to separate the two. So it's not only do I not have time because I'm always working, I'm actually on my way home from work right now, but separating, I guess, that side of me, which I think is just me as a person, but I don't really know if there is that overlap. And then the second question I have is regarding trust, because that's one of my biggest issues.
Okay, so let me take on the first one. You have to decide what's going to be your priority right now. That's like 2 questions right there. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about being a lawyer as a partner. You have to decide what's your priority. So if you are, and I'm just throwing out language out there because I watch a lot of TV, so forgive me if this doesn't apply. If you're trying to make partner or whatever that might look like, right? And that's what your priority is right now, then that's what it is. And so if you want to casually date because you just like to be entertained every once in a while, then you make that clear to the gentleman that you're seeing, and that's what it is. But thinking that you are going to be able to invest 65, 70 hours a week at work and be able to maintain a healthy, committed relationship is unreasonable. It's not going to happen. So if it's going to be, I'm dedicating myself to work for the next year because I have a specific goal, this salary, I want the corner office, whatever that looks like, then that's what it is. You choose which one you're going to prioritize. But being a workaholic and then showing up in a healthy way for someone else in a romantic relationship does not work. Unless you're going to be somebody's sugar mama, and I doubt that's what you want. So, right, like a stay-at-home boyfriend, I doubt that. So you make that choice, whatever it is what it is. And if it's going to be work, you're going to create a boundary of a year, 18 months of hustle, whatever that looks like to get to specifically where you want to be. Then you need to start prioritizing your romantic life, because if you desire children, unfortunately, it's not nature. It's not me, it's nature. You're limited, relatively speaking. So that's that. Yeah. In terms of being a lawyer, I have a friend who's married to a lawyer and they're on the verge of divorce, according to him, because of her lawyering behavior. You got to take that hat off. You got to take that hat off and the irony is that lawyers are not even the most difficult people to date. Based on my experience, teachers are the most difficult people to date, because teachers tell 30 people what to do every day, down to what they can eat and whether or not they can go pee. Like, they are the boss of bosses. You have to learn how to turn it off. If that means that you proactively pull up in front of your house and you take 30 minutes in the car to decompress, if that means that you do a prayer when you're at your doorstep, if that means, I don't know, and we have to come up with what plan would work for you, but you have to put something in place that's going to make you turn it off. You cannot show up as a lawyer in your romantic life. It is unsexy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so number one, choose which one you're going to prioritize and move forward. Number two is going to be, we're going to have to turn it off, but that's not something that we could figure out right. That would take time for us to figure out how to turn it off.
Well, I mean, I have prioritized dating. Even though I am a workaholic, I have prioritized dating, but sometimes I can't help it if I'm on, a huge project or something like that, and I'm called into work or I have to work over a weekend and things like that. So it's hard for me to manage the two, but I definitely have decided to prioritize dating for sure.
Okay. You made that choice. Now, what was the last question about trust?
So I just want to get your thoughts. Do you think that trust is something that is earned, or it's something you should give up front until they prove you wrong?
The latter. I think that you should give people the opportunity to fail. And the only time that trust has to be re-earned is when they failed you. And then you see whether or not you give them a second chance for them to build it back up. I think that you should, lawyer, if we're innocent until proven guilty. Mm-hmm. So you give people the opportunity that I'm going to believe what you have to say once it sounds reasonable. If you tell me that you're working late at work, I'm going to believe that. If you tell me da-da-da and it sounds logical and reasonable, I'm not a fool. I'm not a clown. If it sounds logical, reasonable, and fair, then I'm going to accept your word for it, unless what you're saying sounds unreasonable or I have proof or evidence that says otherwise.
That makes sense.
Now, once they violated said trust, they have two options. Either you could be done with them or they then have to rebuild it. And I think that you can only do that through therapy. I don't think that anyone, even therapists themselves, this is the third time I'm going to say that, they can't be their own clients. So that would have to be something that happens through a professional to rebuild. But initially, you have to give people a chance. Let them hang themselves with the rope that they've created.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, lovely people. I hope that you enjoyed day 2 of the challenge. We are going to pick this up tomorrow on Wednesday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, same Zoom link. If you thought this was useful, I want you to go ahead and share it so that a friend of yours or a loved one can also register. And all of the links will be made available to you and emailed to you by Monday. Okay, so I hope it was a pleasure for you like it was for me. Let me go take care of my husband and my baby. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 7. I'm not doing live Q&A on Instagram. I'm only going to do the challenge here. All right, folks, it's been a good one. Bye.